What's up, everybody? Glad to be back. I took a break yesterday. I didn't post a video. Probably gonna start doing that soon. But today's video is about why it is that most businesses fail. Because you have almost certainly heard this, and it is true. The vast majority of businesses that are started do fail. And I want to talk about this because as an entrepreneur, if you are trying to use business in your life and be your own boss and earn your own money, all that kind of stuff, this is going to be one of the first major obstacles you encounter. And it's going to be the fact that most people will view what you do as risky and as gambling. Most people view entrepreneurship and business as something that could work, but almost certainly isn't going to, right? And common opinion is that most businesses fail. And this is true. But what's really important here is that you understand that because of the time that we exist in, and that we are new to this technological era in the grander scheme of things, it doesn't have to be that way. There are absolutely many ways where you can start with no money at all and create business and not be able to fail if you play your cards right and you're patient. This is absolutely doable. So I want to really help you guys understand why exactly most businesses do fail. And you can boil it down to one specific thing. And that thing is that these businesses need something coming in order to exist, right? A pizza joint cannot exist if nobody's buying pizza, right? This seems quite obvious. It seems like it would make a lot of sense, right? But my point is that through the internet, because you don't need to deal with employees necessarily and working parts and machines and all of this stuff, you can build cash flow and build business mechanisms that enable you to exist even if you don't get your customers, even if you don't get your clientele, right? And that's really important to understand, is that you can create a very successful business if at the beginning of your business, you're willing to do things other than what you want to really do with the future of your business, just to bring in money and bring in more long-term structure and stability, right? So this is why I've drop shipped, because I don't want to drop ship. It's not something that makes me happy. The act of drop shipping doesn't make me happy. But what it does is it gives me cash flow and brings things that I can then use for my other business interests, like my YouTube channel and the Udemy course, and it plays a picture, right? But if that were to go down, the business would still exist. It isn't the store, you know what I mean? There are ways to create business that mean that it's highly unlikely that it's going to fail. So don't let this barrier of people telling you that what you're doing is gambling, don't let that stop you from seeing that it's absolutely possible for it to not be gambling at all. It is very possible for you to change your life in a way that brings in money consistently over a long period of time, as long as you're willing to do the work necessary to make that happen. And if you do it properly, you can do it in a way that ties directly into something that you find fulfillment from in your life. So it results in not only you having money, but you also becoming more fulfilled, which in turn results in you earning more money, right? It's a really win-win situation. And to really get back on topic here, we're talking about why most businesses do fail. And as I'm explaining this here, it's really important that I don't want you to think at all that has to be true. More businesses absolutely can succeed. The thing is, we exist in this brand new time where, in the grand scheme of things, we are just at the beginning of so much potential because of the internet, right? And we're one of the first generations, second or third generations even, to interact with this. And that is huge. But I don't want to get too off topic there. What I need to stay on point here is, okay, we need to talk about something called barrier of entry. If you can understand barrier of entry, that's going to help in regards to understanding why so many businesses fail. Barrier to entry refers to how hard it is to get started doing something, right? So something like being a doctor has a very, very, very high barrier to entry, right? You not only have to have the money to pay for the schooling, but you need to commit the time and all of that to go through all of that schooling. That is a huge barrier to entry, right? So, as opposed to something like dropshipping, whereas dropshipping has almost no barrier to entry. So pretty much anybody, anywhere in the world can do it. What you'll find is that the higher the barrier of entry, typically, that means the more lucrative the process, okay? The lower the barrier of entry, the less lucrative, simply because that's how competition works, right? Dropshipping is incredibly competitive because anybody, any in the world can get started and do it and try and make it work, right? That's why it's so competitive, because you don't have to really, all you need is an eBay account, and you can even just buy one from somebody. You literally, if you have the right information, is the only thing that stops people from dropshipping. There's nobody in the world who can't dropship if they know what they're doing and have access to an internet connection. Whereas there are the vast majority of the people in the world who can't be doctors because they don't have the credentials for it, right? And I want you to understand barrier to entry because it's quite relevant in understanding how most businesses work. Most businesses that fail are founded on this concept of convincing other people to give you money so that you can overcome the barrier of entry and get into a business model. From that point, you're bringing in the money so you can then pay off the loans and everything like that, right? And most businesses are started with other people's money. Most businesses are started with loans, okay? And I'm gonna try and pinpoint it now and end the video with one specific thing, okay? The difference between a business that succeeds and a business that fails is this. A business that succeeds that took out a loan is a business that has already been selling stuff in the garage. They've already gotten a process, a system established that they can continue doing regardless of whether the loan works out or not. This business gets a loan and gets bigger. That could very well be a successful business, right? The business that's much more likely to fail is the business that doesn't exist yet. It's talked about amongst friends or people who need money now. And they convince someone to start a loan to do the exact same thing that the first business is doing, right? That we talked about. Except in this instance, the loan money is being used to create the business. Whereas in the first instance, the loan money is being used to continue existing operations. And that is the distinction. That really, I think, is what successful and unsuccessful business boils down to. Because if you do it right, you fail, obviously, in your individual pursuits, but you don't lose your job because you have other branches of income, right? You can't rely on one thing, but if you're doing that and you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of missing the whole point of being an entrepreneur. I used to work at a coffee shop, had to serve coffee, right? In this case, it's as if I could serve coffee, but I could also just choose to make money doing something else. I could also serve pizza if I wanted to. I could also serve other things, If you're an entrepreneur, you need to take advantage of that fact and take advantage of that flexibility and try a lot of different things out and find things that work with your lifestyle in a way that enable you to do them consistently in the long run, especially if these are things that you enjoy or you have some kind of passion for. That's really going to help make sure that whatever you do ends up being successful versus unsuccessful, right? And also, I'll end on one more thing, and that's that success and failure is something that's perceived by other people. It's not a real thing that you're going through. I know that sounds really abstract, but it's really important to understand, like, when you are actively taking the best of the opportunities that are presented to you, and you are doing your best, and you feel like you are putting in your everything, you're not failing. Like, even though your events that don't work out are going to be perceived as failure by other people, the reality is that those people just don't see the bigger picture, and they don't understand that that was just one of many, 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 many iterations. And the only way to fail is to fail to continue to iterate, right? All right, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate your time and attention. Have a great day, okay? Bye.